Hi, I'm Addie, and I'm a freshman at Woodfield Academy. And for my 10,000 Reasons grant, I chose Childspring International. What is Childspring International? Childspring International provides life-changing surgeries for children from developing countries and as a result transform communities. So it basically provides children in like some poor countries, but if they can't get their surgery there, they're then sent to the US, but only a handful sent to the US. But there's partnerships between like hospitals, and they've like trained people to do certain projects. But a year ago or a couple months ago, we had Obadiah come stay with us. He is 10 years old, and he had a growth on the side of his face. He had surgeries in his hometown, Liberia, but it just couldn't get rid of it because it was growing so fast. And if he didn't come to the US, it could have like destroyed his eyesight and made him not able to like eat. But he came to the US and he was able to get laser treatment. And now he went back to his hometown, Liberia, about around Thanksgiving. So that's really good. Why did I choose this organization? I've been a host family since 2005, and I was only 1 year old at the time. I've hosted 7 kids, and I'm actively involved. I've helped out with fundraisers such as the golf tournament. I've helped pack welcome bags and design their Christmas cards. I've also sometimes they ask me to like go over and just help them like organize or clean out their office, so I've done that too. But right here in the picture next to my dad is Marcelino, and he was cross-eyed, so he had to come to the US to get his treatment because at the time El Salvador did not have the treatment for cross-eyed. So we were his host family for around a week and a half. So that was probably one of the shortest. Childspring International is a faith-based nonprofit organization. It was started in 2001 by the head of missions at First Presbyterian Church. It's a 4-star charity navigator rating since 2018, and 94% of the money donated goes directly to medical services for children. So Childspring International is very trustworthy because even just a couple $100 will go such a long way. And also just being a host family and getting involved like means so much. But the girl sitting next to me, his name is Cynthia, and she's from Paraguay. And she came to the US to get a prosthetic leg. And I just remember like I didn't really like know what was happening at the time. Like I didn't really think anything of it. And I was just honestly glad to just kind of be like a sister or something. And it was just like a good experience. And it was also like an eye-opening experience to me because at the time I hadn't like seen anybody with like a disability or even thought of it. So it really like opened my eyes. Here's some stats. By the end of 2019, Childspring has treated a total of 4,084 children from around the world. In order to save money, the majority of the children are treated in or near their home country. For example, in 2019, only 11 children out of the 694 that were treated were brought to the US. So only a handful of the children are actually brought to the US, but Childspring tries to treat most of the children in their hometown by like partnering with hospitals and training people. But if the surgery is not available, then we'll fly them out, and also with host families. So yeah, and if you're open to like being a host family, like you don't have to, it's not like you don't have to do it for such a long time. Like you can just be it for like a week or a month, but it's a really good experience, and I would recommend. For the grant money request, I'm requesting $20,000, which will go to 2 projects. Project Standing Strong, located in India, and I'm asking for $10,000, which will go to fund 83 orthopedic surgeries. And then Project 365, which is located in Haiti, I'm asking for around $10,000 for 3 orthopedic and 20 hernia surgeries. So these 2 surgeries will go towards around 100 people. So that's really good. And a guy by the name of Drew Reynolds just released an article, and he's the Childspring program director, but This paragraph definitely stood out to me. We as a community must not lose sight of our common goal, of our common call as global citizens to remain in solidarity with children, families, and communities who will be hit the hardest in the wake of this pandemic. So it's kind of calling us to come together and not lose sight of what our goal is, like, because Childspring goal is to provide surgeries for children in developing countries, and that's not going to change. And so it's just kind of like coming together as a community and just praying for these children, but we're also not losing sight of what Childspring mission is to do. So the guy in the upper hand corner, his name is Makinge, and he's from Tanzania. He stayed with us a couple years ago, and he has two prosthetic arms, because he lost both arms to a hyena and part of his scalp. So when he came, he showed us pictures, and they're kind of disturbing, but it just opened my eyes and realized what people are going through and how just he smiles is just brightens your day. But the guy in the bottom, his name is Brian, and he also had cross-eyed. So yeah. Also in this article, he talks about how Childspring is remaining committed to providing surgery for children that we serve, and he's going to stick with our children and families through these delays and difficulties to come. So Childspring isn't losing sight, and they are still remain committed. Like, their mission is not shifting to anything else, because if we just come together and we serve them, then yeah. And we call attention to the disproportionate impact that this global health crisis will have on the poor living communities we serve. So there is, of course, to this health pandemic, there is poor living in communities, and that these children need surgeries, but that's not going to stop us, because in India, surgeries are still going on. So we just have to remain committed together and not lose sight. And here are all the kids that we've had. So Marcelo and Jennifer and Brian all were cross-eyed, but now in El Salvador, we've partnershiped, and now Childspring has developed a new project, Little Eyes, which they've trained people to perform the cross-eyed surgery in El Salvador, their hometown, so we'll also save money in the future. Then we have Pedro, and he had a condition on the back of his head, but I just remember, like, also having another brother probably wasn't the finest, but I remember we, like, wrote letters to each other, and so it's just kind of cool to keep in contact with these kids. And Makinge, like, writes my dad sometimes on his phone, sends little messages, so we do keep in contact sometimes. But I want to leave with this verse, Matthew 5:16. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a better understanding of Childspring's mission and what we're about. So thank you.